Buddhadasa Bhikkhu begins by reorienting the reader's understanding of Buddhism, moving away from the common perception of it as just a religion with rituals and dogmas. Instead, he presents Buddhism as a practical science, a method for understanding and resolving the problems of life. The Buddha's teachings, referred to as Dhamma, are not merely for intellectual debate, but are tools to be applied in daily life for the purpose of achieving mental and emotional well-being. The author asserts that spiritual practice should lead to tangible results in the form of reduced suffering and increased peace of mind. He challenges readers to go beyond superficial engagement with Buddhist teachings and encourages a deep transformative practice that leads to genuine insight and change. Buddhadasa Bhikkhu uses the analogy of medicine to describe the function of Dhamma in healing the mind. Just as physical medicine cures the body of diseases, Dhamma cures the mind of its afflictions. He argues that spiritual diseases such as greed, hatred, and delusion are far more destructive than physical illnesses because they pervade every aspect of our lives, causing endless cycles of suffering. The concept of Dhamma as medicine implies that it is something to be taken or applied regularly. This involves diagnosis, recognizing the symptoms of spiritual diseases in oneself, such as negative emotions or harmful behaviors. Prescription, understanding the appropriate Dhamma teachings or practices that can address these symptoms. Treatment, consistently applying these teachings through mindfulness, meditation, ethical conduct, and wisdom until the afflictions are eradicated. In Buddhism, the primary causes of suffering are identified as the three poisons: greed, lobha, hatred, dosa, and delusion, moha. Buddhadasa Bhikkhu expands on these concepts, explaining how they manifest in everyday life. Greed. This is not just the desire for material wealth but also for sensory pleasures, power, and even spiritual attainments. It is the insatiable craving that drives people to constantly seek more, never finding satisfaction. Hatred. This includes anger, resentment, and aversion. It is the emotional response to obstacles, discomfort, or the threat of losing what one desires. Hatred leads to conflict, both internal and external. Delusion. Perhaps the most subtle and pervasive delusion is the ignorance of the true nature of reality. It is the fundamental misunderstanding that leads individuals to perceive themselves as separate from others and the world, resulting in egocentric thinking and behavior. These spiritual diseases distort perception and judgment, leading to actions that perpetuate suffering. Buddhadasa Bhikkhu emphasizes that to truly understand and cure these diseases, one must go beyond surface-level symptoms and address the underlying causes rooted in the mind. The core of the book is the prescription of Dhamma as the path to cure spiritual diseases. Buddhadasa Bhikkhu breaks down the practice into practical steps aligned with the Noble Eightfold Path, which serves as a comprehensive guide to ethical and mental development. Right understanding, Samadhi. This is the foundation of the path, involving the deep comprehension of the Four Noble Truths. It includes understanding the nature of suffering, its causes, its cessation, and the path leading to its cessation. This correct view counters delusion, right thought, Sammasankappa. These are thoughts aligned with renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness. Right thought counters greed and hatred by fostering an attitude of non-attachment, loving-kindness, and compassion. Right speech, Sammavaka. This involves abstaining from false speech, slander, harsh words, and idle chatter. Right speech promotes truthfulness and harmony in communication, countering the disharmony that arises from greed and hatred. Right action, Sammakamanta. This focuses on ethical conduct, avoiding actions that harm others, such as killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. Right action supports the cultivation of harmlessness and generosity. Right livelihood, Samma Ajiva. It involves earning a living in a way that does not harm others and is in harmony with ethical principles. Right livelihood ensures that one's means of support do not contribute to the suffering of others. Right effort, Samma Vayama. This is the diligent effort to cultivate wholesome qualities and abandon unwholesome ones. It is the active application of energy to maintain a virtuous mind and counter spiritual laziness. Right mindfulness, Samasati. It is the practice of being fully aware and present in each moment, particularly of the body, feelings, mind, and Dhamma, the teachings. Right mindfulness allows one to observe thoughts and emotions without attachment or aversion, providing the clarity needed to overcome delusion. right concentration, Sama Samadhi. This refers to the development of mental focus and calm through meditation. Right concentration stabilizes the mind, making it capable of deep insight and liberation from suffering. The culmination of practicing Dhamma is what Buddhadasa Bhikkhu calls new life. This is not just a minor improvement in one's mental state but a profound transformation in how one experiences life. New life is characterized by inner peace. The mind becomes free from the turmoil of craving, aversion, and delusion. One experiences a deep, unshakable peace that is not dependent on external conditions. Wisdom. The practitioner gains a clear and direct understanding of the true nature of reality, seeing things as they really are, impermanent, unsatisfactory, and non-self. This wisdom leads to the cessation of suffering. Compassion. With the understanding of interconnectedness and the absence of egoistic desires, there arises a natural compassion for all beings. This compassion is not sentimental, but is a deep, active concern for the well-being of others, free from attachment. Buddhadasa Bhikkhu asserts that this new life is available to everyone, regardless of their background or previous experiences. It is not something reserved for monks or spiritual elites, but is the birthright of all human beings. The Dhamma is universal and can be practiced in any life situation, whether one is a householder, a student, or a professional. One of the key messages of the book is the importance of integrating Dhamma into daily life. Buddhadasa Bhikkhu emphasizes that Dhamma practice should not be confined to meditation sessions or temple visits, but should permeate every aspect of life. Mindfulness in daily activities. Whether eating, working, or interacting with others, one should maintain awareness and mindfulness, observing the arising and passing of thoughts and emotions. Ethical living. By following the precepts and engaging in right action, speech, and livelihood, one creates a life that is in harmony with Dhamma, reducing the causes of suffering for oneself and others. Continual learning and reflection. The practice of Dhamma is not static. It involves continual learning, reflection, and adaptation. One must regularly study the teachings, reflect on their application, and adjust one's practice as needed. In the concluding sections, Buddhadasa Bhikkhu reiterates the universality and timelessness of Dhamma. He argues that the truths taught by the Buddha are not limited to a particular time, place, or culture, but are applicable to all human beings. The Dhamma is a natural law, like gravity, that operates regardless of whether one believes in it or not. The final message is one of encouragement and hope. Buddhadasa Bhikkhu assures readers that the cure for their spiritual diseases is within reach. Through sincere and consistent practice of Dhamma, one can achieve liberation from suffering and live a life of peace, wisdom, and compassion. Is a profound exploration of the Buddha's teachings, presented in a way that is both accessible and deeply transformative. Buddhadasa Bhikkhu's work is a reminder that the ultimate goal of Buddhism is not intellectual understanding, but the actual experience of freedom from suffering. The book serves as both a guide and an inspiration for those seeking to heal their minds and lead a life of true spiritual health.